we're sitting down here in these chairs. A little weird. Light.
Okay, we'll see how much.
Actually, this is my bench line.
She looks 29.
There you go.
Okay.
I like that. All right.
Thank you, but
Hey, start back there. Go for it.
okay. As I mentioned there on the slightly self-conscious narration at the beginning, I did talk to a friend of mine. Well, first of all, there was Katrina, and then the floods. We all know what that meant to those of us who don't live in New Orleans. Horrifying, heartbreaking. What can we do? Look, the federal government isn't doing anything. Gosh, it doesn't seem like anyone's doing any good stuff for these people. Who are they anyway? And then it's gone from the news as soon as the sensational stuff was over. So I talked to a friend of mine from New Orleans, and he I'm going to almost sound like a movie reciter, forgive me, but he did tell me about people that were swiftly moving back into their neighborhoods, people like Mrs. Parker and other people that we came to. When I say we, I mean my friend Daniel Wolf, who's one of the producers of this film and my kind of partner in it. And the idea, what the movie doesn't say is that Cyril was convinced that, and a lot of these people who were going in, it wasn't just that they were, freaked out that the neighborhoods were going to be turned into green space or reconceived as condo neighborhoods, waterfront condo neighborhoods, and now New Orleans. And this is what the investors, the big money people down there, that's what they were talking about. Maybe you remember it. This is an opportunity to reconceive New Orleans as a boutique city. And that's why Carolyn got so pissed off at that meeting of the Sheraton. No one even bothered mentioning the human factor. So anyway, that really kind of filled a place in me that, having been horrified at the footage on TV, wanted to do something to help. So I thought, well, I can't do anything. I'm hopeless with hammers and everything, but I can, even if it's out of focus, I can hold a camera, I can bear witness, and I want to go there. I want to go there and just see these people. So Daniel and I went down, and the idea was, it was slightly trumped up, because I wasn't sure that I didn't even know, can this even be a documentary really? But we almost need kind of a cover story. So our cover story will be, we'll visit for the next 4 seasons, and at the end of that, having met now 5 core families, Mrs. Parker, also the Harrisons, also Pastor Melvin Jones and his parents, and Malik Rahim out in Algiers. We'll visit them for a year, and at the end of the year, we could make a documentary that would show the changing visual ecology and the human ecology of the hardest hit neighborhoods. It's kind of this academic kind of thing, excuse to go to New Orleans and see the people. Well, over the course of that first year, we really, truly fell in love with Carolyn, with the Harrisons, with Pastor Mel and his family, his parents, and Malik Rahim, and that certain neighborhood, back at town. And are there any New Orleanians here tonight? Isn't that amazing? One. Okay. Because back at town, which you saw the devastation in the film, that continued. That was one of our characters who we kept visiting all the time, and we saw it go from what it looked like, where all the debris and the evidence of former homes was there. We saw that get cleaned up a little, debris removed. We saw it turn into kind of like a jungle. And then one day, while we were with Carolyn, we saw those pink things out there. On subsequent visits, we visited a man named Robert Green, who was the first one back in the back of town area in his FEMA trailer. And we visited him in his beautiful house that Make It Right made it possible for him to be in. And by the way, there will be, oh God, the longest answer, forgive me. Oh my God, I'm just very excited about this stuff. I just can't, but I'm hoping, I'll stop this answer in a second. I'm hoping that over the course of, sooner rather than later, that I'm Carolyn Parker will be joined by other portrait films. One will be called The Harrisons of New Orleans, and that's his family, where Harrice Harrison is the mom, and she has these amazing grown children. They're steeped in the Mardi Gras Indian tradition and very intense youth affirmation and literacy programs, working inside and outside the school system in New Orleans. Great family. Pastor Mel, that will be another one. Malik Rahim will be another one. And Backatown will be another one. So if there's any funders here tonight, if it sounds at all interesting, meet me in the lobby afterwards. Okay, sorry. Shorter answers, no, sorry. Okay.
And a lot of your characters in a lot of your movies seem to have this inner spirit that drives them. How important was that for you to capture Carolyn, especially like in the scenes where she's at Mass? You zoom in and you just focus for long periods of time, and you can just see that, you can only imagine what she's thinking in her mind. How important is that for you to capture that, especially in a documentary compared to a film?
Yeah, did everybody hear that question more or less? How important was it to try to capture Carolyn's spirituality for the film? Well, it's funny because when you make when I make a documentary, you show up because there's somebody there you admire. In my case, that's what I like to do. Or you go someplace where something that I think is important is happening, and I go back and I go back and I go back. So I didn't know. It was only when we really started editing the film and started getting deep into it. So I had, our first cut of this was 8 hours long. Hundreds of hours of footage filmed over the course of 4 or 5 years. And as Carolyn's daughter Connor had said, we were at the Venice Film Festival with this movie about 3 weeks ago. And the Italian people really liked it a lot. We had a wonderful screening over there. And somebody said, oh, was it difficult, for your mother to, when the cameras showed up and what have you? And Kyra said, are you kidding? My mother's always like that. She doesn't care if there's cameras there or not. That's the way she is. So I just, again, I loved her. And to put it crudely, I felt Carolyn was just a fabulous movie character. So much to enjoy and admire with her. But when we started editing, that's when I really started understanding. We had gone to church with her, and I had observed, I filmed her, praying and stuff, and I heard her talk about her devotion to God and how God was going to see to it that she got back in the house. And I heard these things, and I respected her for feeling that, but as someone who doesn't share that same belief system, I just was like, I respect that, I'm even moved by it. But I didn't make the big connection, which finally in the editing I did. I mean, I just feel there's something very inarguable about her spirituality, whether it worked on a cosmic level in communication with God, or just the sheer power of that spirituality, it got her back in the house. I'm really impressed, and I have great respect for that. And I'm thrilled that it turned out to be that way. I was inspired by her. I didn't quite know why. Every time we'd leave New Orleans, every time, Daniel and I would get on the plane, and it would be like, oh my God, these people are crazy. Why are they trying to do this? They're tremendously capable. They could live somewhere else, We understood why they were there, but it was just like, why, we'd go home to our plumbing and electricity, and, everything is quote-unquote normal where I live up in Rockland County, New York. So we'd think that, and then we'd come down again, and we'd be both just once again enraged by the indifference and the obstructionism of government at every single level, whether it was federal level, whether it was the state level or the local level. It wasn't just incompetence, it was obstructionism. Nobody wanted the working people of New Orleans to come back into those neighborhoods. And the bureaucrats, the functionaries didn't care, the bosses didn't want it. But, so we'd be enraged when you'd hear these stories, you know, of good people just trying to get back into their house. And then we became progressively more moved and moved, when I say we, I'm speaking for Daniel and myself, at these volunteers who'd show up. And you're just like, oh my God, this is the best and worst of America. The worst is the government. And the landowners who want to reconceive the city to get even richer. And then there's the best of America, these fabulous young people. A lot of college students, they don't go on spring break in Daytona, they come down and put a mask on and gut walls. Why do they do that? And then sometimes they even, we kept seeing them, especially in back of town, where there's endless cleanups going on. And they'd come down for spring break, they'd stay there. And they'd live in these kind of difficult circumstances with Common Ground Relief, a great organization, and they'd stay and work and work and work and sometimes take on leadership roles in the volunteer program. It's a lot like what's going on in, by the way, I think in America today now with kind of the Occupy Wall Street movement. It was like a little harbinger down there. You know, the government and the big money people just making things so hard, but the other people, the 99%, coming down and helping Carolyn and thousands of others actually get back into their homes. It was so inspiring. So, thank you. Thank you.
Way up top.
What happened to that contractor?
Well, what happened to the contractor is,
Not that it's important, but...
No, it is important. It's something we want to know. There should be a little scroll on the back, but because it's an